Hello again, thank you for joining me for another video. So I've been thinking about Kundalini and karma, chakras, and how all of this works in our bodies and the way that we interface with reality. And I was really just paying a lot of attention recently to the actual, it feels like there's seals that are put on each one of these levels that are often referred to as chakras, and then we go through a bit of a training exercise or a bit of a learning curve on each one of these like energy centers until we really get it mastered, and then we are able to interact with more subtle levels of reality. So we have like basic consensus reality that really allows us to, our economic system and all our institutions and everything we need for like basic physical needs, that consensus reality stuff. But beyond that, there's this whole universe of being a soul and being able to interact with different levels of reality and different levels of our own being, which is not just simply the material physical self that needs to interact with society as it is. And so getting in touch with our soul and these different energy centers in us and understanding them as a bit of an interface so that we have control about what comes in and what comes out of what we're interacting with in terms of all of the more subtle realms that we aren't perceiving with the very dense five sensory systems, but a language that really we need to create on our own as we are coding infinite reality, right? And so understanding where each of these layers come in, the chakra system is a really nice way of doing that. Understanding the Kundalini and how that gets empowered to, once you're mature enough, actually create things into reality. I know people like to say that we create our reality, but I think there needs to be some level of maturity before that actually happens, unless seals are broken due to trauma, due to the nature of our social systems and how they are being expressed currently. This might come out a little bit differently, but just hear me out. So we do have like kind of more of a seal on how we interact with Earth herself or itself, where a tree is just a tree until that seal kind of gets cleaned, and then you're not using language to communicate, but you're actually picking up vibrations, you're picking up subtle cues from the weather, you're paying attention to seasons on levels that you might not be processing in your mind in terms of literal language, but your body is still tuning into them and your soul can still tune into them and then alert you to, hey, we have an opportunity coming here, or hey, this is a great place to go visit because it's going to help heal something that's going wrong with you. Like, so there's a reason to have that system online. It helps you to navigate in this especially in the earth plane, which with all of its electromagnetic and chemicals from the plants. You can actually navigate by it once you learn how to read it with your body, which isn't language. So it's a seal and an energy that uses a different form of communication. And getting that turned on, you're actually able to communicate through it, not just receive information, but give information to Earth. Like if you've ever seen that, what is it, Avatar, The Last Airbender? One of my very favorite characters was Toph, and she would like stomp her foot and then, kind of receive back sight of what the vibrations and the ground were, and we really are capable of doing that also. We do pick up vibrations. We're extraordinarily sensitive creatures. We just don't seem to be realizing the amount of information that comes in that isn't in the form of traditional language, and so we miss a lot. And we can translate this stuff into traditional language, but we need to acknowledge that we're receiving it, slow down and pay attention to it also. So beyond that, we also have the creative and reproductive seals that we have, which will protect us until we are mature enough to be actually creating things in reality and manifesting things. When you're an underdeveloped being, not fully capable of taking care of the creations that you bring into reality, you aren't going to just have the seal blown off and be able to do that. So there's some response from the universe as a creative being. You're going to get some of that as an immature person, being, little one, however you want to say it. But eventually that seal gets removed, and then at that time, then you are manifesting from reality. So I always kind of hated when I'd hear people, you know, in the spiritual movement talking about, oh, you create your reality, and not paying attention to how many children have had really just disastrous lives and really need the opportunity to be understood as you didn't call that to yourself. You were too little to call that to yourself. You didn't create that. You have to mature into, and the universe responds to a certain level of development. And obviously some people get that ruined for them, and then they have to be rebuilt. So making sure to take care of those among us who had that seal damaged young, and know that it can be rebuilt, and then you can go back and form your own communication with the universe about procreating and creative energy in general. So the next one I would want to mention is the willpower. So just kind of moving up from understanding that we are interacting on this planet and we have an interface that needs to be kind of established so that we stay safe and then all our needs are met. And then from there we can reproduce and make sure that we are able to take care of what we are manifesting into reality. And then our willpower is necessary in order to navigate all of the safety issues that may come up, and taking care of our creations and figuring out how to be independent and beginning the actualization process where we become individuated agents. That's all aspects of will. And it's subtle. Will is very subtle. It's very powerful, but also very subtle. And so some of the lessons that you get through that are paying attention to your intuition and sensing where, you know, you're picking up potential danger or other people's desires as opposed to your own needs to be met and things of that nature. Those are all those kind of willpower lessons that have to be navigated, rules kind of established in your own moral core and what you want to see, you know, as you're interacting with reality. And that's the interface that you are creating, the communication tool regarding will, that you are literally informing the universe and reality how you want to show up. And then our heart, right? Our heart, the seal on our heart. And I think some people take this just a tiny bit, with a tiny bit of immaturity, because having your heart open means that you can feel, and not everything that you're going to be feeling is going to be positive, rainbow, sunny, beautiful. So when your heart is really open, you're feeling the fullness of people's experiences. And some of that is, you know, painful. The losing someone that you love, observing someone who has lost someone that they loved, you know, lost loves in general, and the yearning that can come. These are all kind of things that can come out of that heart space and desire for calling into reality a future, you know, that kind of all comes from this heart desiring. And so learning how to create a communication and interface so that you aren't being bombarded with negative energy to the point where you can't handle it and your system has to depress you and shut down so that it isn't overwhelmed any further. In order to keep it open, you can create your own filters. You can create your own rules and interface on what you want to receive. And so you can say, I can only take this much. I want to know this stuff intellectually, but I don't want to feel it with the essence of my heart and my being. Don't cut yourself off from feeling too far or too much, or try to only feel positive, because it will make you dumb. You're not seeing reality accurately, so you can make some forms of adjustment, but be realistic about not setting yourself up to be out of touch with literal reality, because then you're really just not navigating from an intelligent, centered space. Hopefully that made sense. So from the heart space, then you have speaking what you want into reality and paying attention to what you are giving yourself as nourishment in terms of information. So our creative aspect, whilst it is true that as we think, we tend to perceive, once you get to a certain level of spiritual development, the thoughts can be so much more subtle that it almost makes sense to create some rules for yourself about creating, so that in the event that you're not a kid anymore, you know that reality is responding to you, so you don't want to be caught up in an emotional situation where you curse someone, where you send out negative energy, where you wish ill on someone. So paying attention that how you speak to reality is heard by all of reality, and that it really is an important concept to recognize, that if you are literally creating with your words should be particular and well suited to what kind of reality you actually want to see. So paying attention if you're gossiping too much, paying attention to how often you tell reality that it sucks. So there are parts of reality that sucks. Point them out precisely if you have to speak it at all, so that you're not damning everything that is really quite beautiful, plentiful, and possible about reality. And a lot of that, paying attention to what you're taking in, so that you aren't just kind of regurgitating as a little energy wheel of other people's propaganda and that sort of thing. It's important. So then the next seal would be sight, would be how much of reality can you actually see? How much of reality can you sense? So much is uncharted territory, and it is just fields of potential and possibility. And we have, like, when you think about all of the books that have ever been written, all of the plays, all of the oral tradition, stories, dances, songs that have been passed along for as long as humans have been walking the earth, and that's just one little slice of life that we are aware of that comes out. And all of those stories have the potential to create feeling and information and imagination and problem solving and soothing, and all of the ways that stories can help us relate to each other and become these complex, more advanced beings in the long run, as we have some form of an interface. It's like the one place we've done really well is creating this collective storytelling, this interface where we can relate this infinite potential that exists in front of us. And so getting that part turned on, where you can actually imagine that coming into fruition, and so that you are looking at potential futures and potential ways of living, and how life can really be enhanced for everyone, come from that ability to see other perspectives, other ways. And storytelling is great for that. It passes on our history in a way that's relatable, and it also gives us warnings about the future and the expansive, limitless ideas we might be able to come up with to create just beautiful things for everybody. And then, so from there, I guess we start to organize the higher dimensions, the higher possibilities of the states of infinity, the states of eternity, where time stops existing. And it's really just these geometric sorts of coming together, and then being brought into time, really, so that it's smaller and smaller until it's fused into a dense subject space. It's really quite amazing. So the last level after that, the interface, is where you're interfacing with the all without any form, without any geometric shapes, without any need to contemplate a label of any kind. No language, no label, no nothing. Which is the beautiful, expansive peace, bliss, non-working. There's nothing to do and nothing to be. It just simply is, and that can permeate your whole being. So we're able to exist in the whole beautiful cycle of all of this, and it's quite just amazing to be alive, to know this stuff right now. You know, I'm really grateful for how many teachers actually get on the internet and share some of this information, so that there's more to the story than we understood, at least for sure that I understood, and I'm really grateful. So passing that along as well from my own experience and how this has worked for me, and the different levels of interaction and interface with these subtle realms that I've been able to test and fine tune, and the great ways that it has helped me. So hopefully you are experiencing some of this on your own and having a great time with it too. Certainly feel free to leave any questions or comments below, and I will be happy to read and interact with you. Okay, take care. Until next time. Thanks.